Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss with your hosts, Teresa Reiniger and Wayna Berry.
Welcome back to Female Voices, Life and Loss. I'm Teresa.
And I'm Wayna.
Join us for each episode as we explore lived stories, offer gentle insight, and hold space for what it means to navigate life after loss. This is a space for women carrying grief, loss, and life transitions, especially the ones held quietly while still showing up for everyday life. This podcast offers language for what you are feeling and guidance for who you are becoming. And now your hosts, Teresa Reiniger and Wayna Berry.
Hello and welcome back to Female Voices. I am Teresa Reiniger. Today's conversation feels deeply personal, and I want to talk about something that I think many of us carry quietly: the fear of forgetting, or maybe even more honestly, the fear that others will forget. After someone dies or after life changes, there is often this moment that comes. The world keeps moving. People stop asking. And yet inside of us, their story is still alive. Their laugh, their traditions, their voices, their impact on our life. And sometimes what hurts isn't only that they're gone, it's wondering, will people remember? Today, I want to talk about why remembering matters. There's something I hear often when I work with women navigating grief, and I've learned is that people are not only grieving absence. At some point, sometimes weeks later, sometimes years later, there's this quiet realization that life keeps moving on. They're grieving that connection. People returning to routines, identity changes, conversations changing, future moments. And many people tell me something like, I'm afraid people don't say their name, or I don't want people to forget who they were. And I understand that because grief isn't love ending. Grief is love continuing. And suddenly there's this fear that can show up, not just, I miss them, but again, what if people forget them? What if no one remembers the way they laughed, the way they loved, the traditions that they created, the things that made them them? And I want to say something gentle here. Remembering doesn't keep us stuck. Remembering keeps us connected. Connections and healing are not opposites. You do not have to choose between carrying someone with you and continuing to live. Love was never meant to disappear. Sometimes love changes form, and stories become one of the ways we continue carrying it. I want to ask you something. If someone who loved your person had never met them, what would you want them to know? Would you talk about their humor, their kindness, the way they showed up, their traditions again that they created? What made them unforgettable? Because stories do something powerful. They remind us that they were here. They mattered. Their life shaped ours. And even now, their story still has impact. I've also noticed something interesting. When people begin telling stories, they often start with the facts. What happened? Dates, circumstances, but eventually something shifts and they begin telling me how she danced in the kitchen, how he made everyone happy. Again, the traditions they talk about, the little things, because in the end, people don't only want their loved one remembered for how they died. They want them remembered for how they lived. And I think there's something beautiful in that. And I want to invite you into a reflection here. So think of someone you love. Ask yourself, what's one story about them that you tell over and over that brings joy and happiness to you? What memory still makes you laugh? What moment still feels alive inside of you? What do you hope people never forget? That story matters because stories preserve more than memories. Stories preserve meaning. One thing I've learned through podcasting and grief work is this: sometimes telling the story changes us, not because it removes pain, but because it lets us reconnect with love. There have been times in my own life where I realized I wasn't only grieving people, I was grieving the roles that were played in my life, the expectations, the version of life that I thought I would have. And sometimes sharing stories was what helped me realize the relationship didn't end, it changed. And maybe that's true for some of you too. That's one of the reasons I felt called to create something new this season. It's very simple. It's simply called In Memory of. Because over the years of podcasting, guests would share these beautiful stories. Families would talk about loved ones. Listeners would send messages. And I kept thinking, these stories deserve somewhere to live, not hidden in notes, not buried on social media, not only remembered on anniversaries, but preserved, shared, honored. So we're creating a beautiful space to honor, remember, and keep their stories alive. This isn't about moving on. This isn't about fixing grief. This is about creating space. It's a space to tell their story, a space to say their name, a space to preserve what matters, and a space where stories can continue, where families can share memories, photos, reflections, and all of those stories. And together we created a place where those memories continue because stories deserve to be remembered. It will be called In Memory of. And this will be where we can honor people not only for the moment they left, but for the life they lived. Because I truly believe stories are one way love continues. I'd love to invite you into something today. Take a moment, think of someone you love. Ask yourself, what do I hope people remember about them? What story still deserves to be told? What would I want future generations to know about them? Maybe tell someone, maybe simply speak their name. If this idea speaks to you, I want to invite you to visit our new In Memory of page. You'll find a place where stories can be shared and preserved with care. And whether you choose to submit something or not, I hope today reminds you love doesn't disappear. Stories don't disappear. And remembering matters. So before I finish up today, I want to ask you something. If someone met your person through your words, what would you want them to know? Not about their death, about their life, who they were, what they loved, how they changed people. Maybe write it down, maybe tell someone, maybe say their name again today. Because remembering matters and stories matter and love continues. So I'd love to hear from you. Tell us, who are you remembering today? What's one thing people should know about them? You can share with us on social media or inside our community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for carrying stories. And thank you for reminding others that love continues. We're honored to walk this journey with you. And as you move through your days, may you feel held, supported, and not so alone. And reminded that even in the hardest moments, there's still space for healing, hope, and life after loss. We're honored to walk this journey with you, and we'll see you next time on Female Voices Life and Loss with Teresa Reiniger and Wayne Berry.
Thanks for listening to Female Voices Life and Loss. If this episode resonated with you, helped you feel seen, or gave language to something you've been carrying, We invite you to share it with someone who may need it. Be sure to follow the show so you don't miss future episodes and the powerful voices still to come.